Welcome back. In this lesson, we'll continue exploring the options available for configuring measures. We'll focus on linking objects and adding subpopulations, so let's pick up where we left off last time. At this point, we've defined the properties of the denominator base object, so we can add a linked object if needed. To do this, we start by selecting the Linked Object button and searching for the object that we want to link. Once our selection has been made, we'll be brought to the Stack Linked Objects properties. We just reviewed the Settings, Restrictions and Transformation, and Published Fields panels. These panels function the same exact way for linked objects as they do for base objects. The only new panel to review is Upstack Restrictions. You can think of the fields in the Upstack Restrictions panel as being analogous to a join clause in SQL. It's where you specify how the objects are linked together. The Upstack object is the object that you'll link to and already exists in the stack. The linked object is the object you're adding to the stack, and it'll be linked to the Upstack object. So in our example, SO Ursa claims-based hospital inpatient admissions is the Upstack object, and NO Ursa patients is the linked object. The first field, Enforce Linked Object Existence, is where you define how the two objects will be linked together. This is like defining the type of join clause you would specify in a SQL script. The option Instances of linked object must exist is like an inner join, where all records that have matching key values in both tables are kept in the object being created. The option Instances of linked object may exist is like a left outer join, where all records from the Upstack object and the matched records from the linked object are kept in the new object. Finally, the option No instances of linked object may exist is like an exclusionary left outer join, where only the rows in the Upstack object that do not match records in the linked object are kept by the new object. For our example, we'll select the Instances of linked object may exist option. Selecting the Preserve Upstack grain checkbox signals to the system that you intend to maintain the current grain of the Upstack object when linking the two objects. If the Upstack restriction configuration will create a grain explosion, the system will know it's unintentional and will present you with a warning. Add restriction indicates which column or columns to use when matching the objects. It's the equivalent of the on parameter in a join clause. If the object you're linking has a field that matches a field in the Upstack object, then the system will automatically infer the restriction, and all you need to do is select this checkbox to confirm. If the relationship is not inferred, you would select the foreign key pattern and then follow the prompts to identify which keys to match. When needed, you can add multiple foreign key patterns when linking objects that require multiple keys to be matched. So that's how you link an object. Once the object is linked, you can select the object's fields that you'd like to include in the measure. Another option when creating an object is to add a subpopulation. This is analogous to a union in SQL development. Linking objects merges them horizontally, potentially adding fields to the Upstack object. Adding a subpopulation merges objects vertically, appending records to the stack. When you add a subpopulation, you'll see the panels we're already familiar with: settings, restrictions and transformations, and published fields. After adding a subpopulation, you'll want to review the panels associated with the stack. By clicking here, you can access the denominator properties panels. Although we reviewed this panel in a previous lesson, note that there are now more options. We now have panels for subpopulation 1 restrictions and transformations, subpopulation 2 effective dates, subpopulation 2 restrictions and transformations, and a panel for aligning subpopulation 2 fields. The new restrictions and transformations and effective date panels would work as you would expect. Restrictions and transformations are applied only to the noted subpopulations, and the effective dates are relevant only to the noted subpopulation as well. The only panel with functionality you're not familiar with yet is Align Subpopulation 2 Fields. This panel allows you to align the columns between the subpopulations. Here you can select the columns to align with the added subpopulation. You may have noticed an error box pop up that has now disappeared. The error was warning us that we had unaligned fields, so once the fields were aligned, it went away. So that's it for this lesson. We'll pause there. You now know how to link objects and add subpopulations when building measures.